It's time to get into my Week 4 NFL picks, and my record sucks. My picking has been bad. I'm actually really sad about it, but it's a bounce-back week. Here we go. Let's get into my marquee games for the week, and we take a look at the Chiefs and the Broncos. This one's on Monday night. The Chiefs are the favorites on BetDSI, -4. They're 3-0 on the season so far. The Denver Broncos are coming off a loss to the Baltimore Ravens on the road, but they are back in the friendly confines of Mile High. Over-under is set at 55. How about Patrick Mahomes, though? Of course, he's one of my key players for the Chiefs this week. Mahomes has 13 touchdown passes through the first 3 games this season, the most by a player in his team's first 3 games to start a season in NFL history. Mahomes can join Tom Brady, Steve Young, and Kurt Warner as the only players in history to throw at least 3 touchdown passes in their first 4 games to start the year. So Mahomes is on a torrid pace. By the way, I want to give some love to Dee Ford at edge. He is playing really well so far this year alongside Justin Houston. The pass rushing there for Kansas City has been pretty solid. Mitchell Schwartz at right tackle. Watch out for him because he could be going up against this guy, Von Miller, outside linebacker. They like to move him around on the defensive side. One of the most disruptive defensive players in the National Football League. Matt Paradise at center. Really, the Denver Broncos overall on the offensive line has been really solid. Paradise in particular, but Connor McGovern at right guard and Jared Veldheer at right tackle have been really solid so far this season. So if Denver can kind of hammer away at the, shall we say, under-average defensive tackles there for the Kansas City Chiefs and kind of ease up on that pass rush from Dee Ford in Houston, that'll be huge for Denver Broncos' hopes to obviously win this football game on Monday night. So big-time AFC West battle here. I still don't know if the Denver Broncos are going to win the West. I did predict it, but I don't feel as confident anymore because the Kansas City Chiefs are balling out. But that said, at some point, Kansas City is going to hit a wall. They're going to slip up at some point this season. Maybe it happens this week. I'll take Denver in a razor-thin margin. 21-20 at home. The Broncos get the victory there. Patrick Mahomes playing on Monday Night Football, the bright lights, all of this hype, all of this praise. It just seems like there's going to be some sort of letdown happening here. So I'll take the Denver Broncos in this game. And if you guys agree or disagree, go ahead and pick on that game and so much more at chatsports.com/bet using our friends BetDSI. And you can use my promo code CAM120 for that 120% deposit bonus. Free money in that back pocket to play with this week. Let's take a look at the Sunday Night Football matchup. It's a good one. Baltimore, Pittsburgh. The Steelers are the favorite -3 in this one. The over-under is set at 50.5. The Ravens are coming off a pretty good victory against the Denver Broncos. It was a ho-hum kind of game. The offense was clicking. The defensive pass rush was working. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh coming off a much-needed road victory against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But what can we say about Joseph Flacco? He has been fantastic so far this season. I think he continues that into Pittsburgh. See, Joe Flacco historically struggles at Paul Brown Stadium against the Cincinnati Bengals. Historically, Joe Flacco has been pretty darn good against the Pittsburgh in Heinz Field. He has done it before multiple times, gone in there and won. So I think he can do it this week, but he is going to be a major factor for the Ravens if they do win. C.J. Mosley, another big factor. He's dealing with an injury right now. We'll see if he actually is active, but if he is not, well, that's going to put a lot of pressure on the other linebackers there for the Baltimore Ravens to call the plays effectively, get the responsibilities divvied out in the proper way. And, of course, they're already missing Jimmy Smith due to a suspension, another important veteran player. So now I'm looking at Marlon Humphrey, the young cornerback out of Alabama, who has been spectacular so far this season. If you look at his grade on Pro Football Focus, it's pretty darn solid so far. So those are my key guys for the Ravens. Let's take a look at the Pittsburgh Steelers now. Of course, Ben Roethlisberger at the quarterback position, Antonio Brown at wide receiver. He's probably going to be locked in on Marlon Humphrey. Antonio Brown has gotten the Ravens number a couple of times. So he could have a big-time game on Sunday Night Football. We shall see. But I want to give you guys a footnote as well. Juju Smith-Schuster has been really solid so far this year, 356 scrimmage yards, and that ranks first in the AFC. James Conner has 352 scrimmage yards. That's second in the AFC. And then Joe Hayden at corner. The Ravens wide receivers, particularly John Brown, have been pretty darn good. So Joe Hayden on John Brown is a matchup that I am tracking this week. All right, so it's in Pittsburgh. Steelers are the favorite, that typical -3 home advantage there on BetDSI. I like the Baltimore Ravens to win this football game. Give me Joe Flacco and company to get it done. I really like the Ravens this year to be a legit playoff team. 24-17 your final score. There's something about this Ravens locker room. The veteran leadership there. Terrell Suggs on the defensive side and Joe Flacco on the offensive side. John Harbaugh has been there, done that. Meanwhile, with Pittsburgh, there still seems to be something off about this team right now. And so I'm not all that confident in them in this game, although, of course, they can pull it off. They're playing at home and all that good stuff. But give me the Baltimore Ravens to get it done. Let's talk Cowboys-Lions. The Lions are 1-2. The Cowboys are 1-2. The Cowboys are the favorite at home by 3. Over-under set at 43.5 here. The Lions are coming off a stunning victory against the New England Patriots, a victory that I did not see coming and not many people did. So here's the deal. Are the Lions for real, or are they just a pretender? Was that a fluke of a victory, or are they actually a contender here? Meanwhile, the Dallas Cowboys lost to the Seattle Seahawks a week ago. Ezekiel Elliott was very solid, but in a losing effort, 24-13, your final score at the CenturyLink there. Here's the deal. The Detroit Lions offensive line, Taylor Decker and Glasgow, these guys ran all over the New England Patriots last week. The Dallas Cowboys cannot let that happen. The Dallas Cowboys need the ability to tee off on Matt Stafford, and that starts with stopping the run. So if Dallas can stop the run and then let DeMarcus Lawrence tee off here on the Detroit Lions, that's how the Cowboys at least win on the defensive side. Of course, the offensive side, who the heck knows? But what can we say about Ezekiel Elliott? How about these stats? Most yards after contact since 2016. Ezekiel Elliott leads the way, 1,780. Le'Veon Bell just a shade over 1,600. Jordan Howard is there. Jay Ajayi is there. Todd Gurley, that's pretty good company. And Zeke has a big-time lead over the other players on this list. So pretty impressive stuff there for Zeke. He, of course, is one of my key players this week for the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott included. D-Law, watch out for him. He has been fantastic so far this year. He ranks 3rd in the NFL in total pressures, according to Pro Football Focus. Now, how important is Sean Lee to this defense? How about this? In 2017, when Sean Lee was on the field, the Cowboys allowed 4.4 yards per play. That ranked 1st. With Lee off the field, the Cowboys allowed 6.1 yards per play in 2017. That would rank dead last. I would say there's a big-time difference between having Sean Lee on the football field and not having him on the football field. He is the quarterback of that defense. He's uber important in the linebacking core. So not going to be playing this week, but obviously something to keep in mind there with those stats and that differential. Meanwhile, with the Detroit Lions, Matt Stafford at the quarterback position was very good against the New England Patriots. He had plenty of time in the pocket because the Lions were running the football so effectively. And that's something that we haven't said in the last 5 years, it seems. Taylor Decker at left tackle, watching him because D-Law is coming. Taco Charlton is coming. So Decker is going to have a big-time responsibility at left tackle to protect Matt Stafford, especially in those 3rd and long situations when Taco and Lawrence can kind of tee off. And then I'm looking at Marvin Jones, who could be locked in on Byron Jones, the fantastic corner for the Dallas Cowboys. Byron actually has an elite grade so far, according to Pro Football Focus. So, big-time matchup, Cowboys, Lions, 1 o'clock Eastern time in Arlington. The Dallas Cowboys are the favorite. The Dallas Cowboys will win this football game. Ugly, but they'll win it. 16-13, your final score there. So on BetDSI, it would be a push. So that's kind of how I'm predicting things. I'm just not sure about the Detroit Lions quite yet. I'm not buying into what they did last week against the New England Patriots. And in a sense, I think the Lions are in for a letdown. They're celebrating, they're partying, they're loving that they just beat the New England Patriots on Sunday Night Football. They travel to Arlington and they lay an egg against the Dallas Cowboys, a team that desperately just needs some semblance of confidence, momentum, something. And maybe they can get it against the Detroit Lions this week. By the way, dead last against the run. Watch out for Zeke. Feed him, feed him, feed him. Seeing you guys type that away in the comments section, that would be the smart thing to do. The smart thing to do, of course, is always to sign up on FanDuel, deposit money, and play on the #1 daily fantasy site out there, FanDuel.com/chatsports. That's the link you need. That's how you get $20 for free to play with on FanDuel this week. You can play against me on FanDuel as well. Hit me up on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99. I've got a game going on for Week 4 of the NFL. If you want in on it, DM me now because spots are piling up here, and I'm running out of space for you guys, so be sure to hit me up. I want to get you guys in my game, and of course, I can give you the directions that you need so you can get that $20 for free as well. So Cowboys win over the Lions. Let's talk about the Bengals and the Falcons because this is an important game here for the Atlanta Falcons. They're 1-2 on the year, coming off a tough loss against the New Orleans Saints, the team that I think will win the Super Bowl. Meanwhile, the Cincinnati Bengals are coming off a loss against the Falcons' NFC South rival, Carolina Panthers, 31-21. So for Cincinnati here, it's a team that has a good defense, good secondary. The offensive line is still a little rickety in my eyes, but Andy Dalton has been sensational so far this season, and he's probably licking his chops right now at the injuries in the back end for Atlanta. But if you want to talk about deep balls, Matt Ryan, one of the best. Best completion percentage of deep throws to this point this season. Matt Ryan ranks first, 64.3%. Derek Carr, second. Alex Smith, who knew he can throw the deep ball? He ranks third. Ryan Fitzpatrick there ranks fourth at 57.1%, and then Patrick Mahomes at 52.6%. So Matt Ryan, one of my key players to watch out for the Atlanta Falcons this week. Julio Jones is there as well, and then Alex Mack at center, one of the best centers in the NFL, will have his hands full because he's going up against Geno Atkins of the Cincinnati Bengals. His motor is still going. It's unbelievable how good Geno Atkins is at the defensive tackle position and at the age that he currently is as well. Meanwhile, William Jackson, one of the really good up-and-coming young corners. There are a lot of good cornerbacks in the league right now, particularly of the younger age. William Jackson, one of them. He will probably be locked in on Julio Jones. So big-time test there for Jackson. Big-time test for Geno Atkins against a really good center in Alex Mack. And then, of course, I'm watching A.J. Green as well. He's dealing with a groin injury. The expectation is he will play this week for the Bengals, and they will need him. So the Falcons are the favorite, minus 3.5 in this football game. I'm going to take the points, and I'm going to take the Falcons to win this one by more than 3.5. 30-21, your final score. I think Atlanta gets the victory here. I think Atlanta is just the more talented team. I'm not sure that the Cincinnati Bengals are a playoff team. I'm not sure that they're a contender. They're more of a pretender in my eyes. Even though the Falcons are 1-2, they've had a really tough schedule so far this year. I think they get the victory here against the Cincinnati Bengals there. All right, so there you go. That's one game I'm tracking. And finally, Chargers against 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo, not going to be playing. He is done for the season with a torn ACL. So I think that's quite reflected if you look at the BetDSI line. 10.5 in favor of the Los Angeles Chargers. Over-under is set at 46. The 49ers are coming off just a really debilitating loss against the Kansas City Chiefs, 38-27. Losing Garoppolo, losing Richard Sherman for a few weeks as well. And, of course, we all know that Jerick McKinnon is not on this roster. It's just an uphill battle for the San Francisco 49ers. C.J. Beathard going to be the starting quarterback. So that means there's a lot more pressure on Joe Staley to protect C.J. Beathard because if he goes down, it's going to be Nick Mullins. And I'm looking at DeForest Buckner as well at defensive tackle there for San Francisco. Meanwhile, with the Chargers, Casey Hayward, fresh off an extension from this offseason, one of the premier corners in the NFL. Watch out for him, locked in on Pierre Garçon and Marquise Goodwin. Melvin Ingram, really solid pass rusher. He is going to be going after Joe Staley. That's a fun matchup to watch on the line of scrimmage. And then Mike Pouncey, coming on over from Miami, has been pretty darn solid, but he too will have his hands full. He's taking on DeForest Buckner, so fun matchup there in the trenches. All right, in terms of my prediction for this game, give me the Chargers, 31-17. I don't think it'll be close. I don't think the 49ers are ready for this Chargers squad here. Too many injuries for San Francisco. Yeah, LA is dealing with some injuries too, but I like the Chargers. I like Phillip Rivers, and I'm not going to bet on C.J. Beathard. All right, so let's summarize my predictions, which are worse than a coin flip as we stand. I picked the Vikings last night. That didn't work. I'm going Falcons, Packers, Bears over the Bucks, Cowboys, Titans, Texans win. Give me the Patriots to bounce back against Miami. I'll take Jacksonville this week. I'll go with the Oakland Raiders to get their first win of the year. Seattle, the Giants stun the Saints. Chargers, Ravens beat the Steelers. And the Denver Broncos win on Monday Night Football.